So, my name is Laura. I'm 24 years old and I live in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, Australia. And I struggle with an invisible illness every day, and I have for the past 2 or more years. I don't drive because of it. I can't work at the moment because of it. I don't drink. There's certain things I won't eat just to try and help. I struggle with social situations because of it. I can't be left alone for a long amount of time because of it. And I make excuses because of it. And I guess I'm tired of making excuses, and I'm tired of explaining what the hell I have to people. And I want people to know and understand. And this is just the easiest way of putting it out there. And it's a scary way, and it's a hard way of doing it. But I sat in silence for a very long time, and that has not helped myself, but it has definitely not helped my immediate family and my partner. And I want them to know that I want to move forward with my life and I want to live my life. And by making this video, I hope someone out there that has an invisible illness feels like this is a good video that explains it properly to someone that doesn't, or someone that doesn't understand. So I'll take you back to the very beginning. So in 2013, at the end of 2013, I went on a trip to America with my then boyfriend, who's now my fiance. We went to America for New Year's. During that time, when it transferred into January in 2014, I got sick while I was over there, very sick. Stomach flu, chest infection, the whole shebang really. And because you're on such a scheduled trip and you don't have time to stop, you don't have time to rest, you don't have time to get better, you're still going to airports, you're still catching planes, and you're trying to go and see all these different things, and I didn't allow my body time to rest. And so when I got back, I was better, but I was always that little bit tired. But I would still continue. I'd go to uni, I'd go to my job that I had part-time, I'd go out with my friends, I'd do all the same things. And it was around about March, April of that year that I just was coming to the point of exhaustion. And one day, I had a full day of work, it was a Saturday, and I decided to drive into the city where my older sister lived. We went and saw a double feature at the Astor Theatre, which is a movie theatre, old movie theatre in St Kilda. And then I went back to her house, started to feel a bit ill, just in my stomach, a bit nauseous, a bit disorientated really, so I thought it'd be best if I started to drive home. And it's about a 45-minute trip home from where my sister lived. So as I was driving home, I was about 10 minutes of driving, I got this, it was almost like an adrenaline rush, but the complete opposite, where you just felt like I felt so sick, it was unbelievable. I felt like I was going to throw up, I felt like I was going to shit myself. That's bad of me to say, but it's true. My nose started to bleed. I got the shakes, I got sweats, I started seeing things cross the road while I was driving, and I completely blacked out. Luckily enough, before that, I had managed to pull over and call one of my family members, and they managed to find me, thank God for iPhones, and they took me home. I woke up the next day not knowing how I got home, nothing. I woke up the next day, I was completely debilitated. I could barely walk. I had that same nauseous feeling. It was like everything leading up to that moment, because I didn't stop, just came tumbling down. And for about 3 months after that incident, I could barely walk. I had to walk with a walking stick. For some of you that know me personally, you might remember that. I had to walk with a walking stick. I couldn't really do my job. I had to quit uni, well not quit uni, put it on hold because I was physically unable. So obviously I knew something was wrong. My parents knew something was wrong. We went to the doctors, the local doctors. They referred me to a neurologist, and this is where it all began. So from that point in time up until now, I've written it down, I've seen 5 different neurologists, 2 different psychiatrists, 2 different neuropsychiatrists, 1 rheumatologist, 1 chronic fatigue specialist, 1 sleep specialist, 3 different psychologists, and 2 different physiotherapists. And they have ordered 1 overnight sleep study, 5 different EEGs, sleep deprived and non-sleep deprived, 4 different MRIs of my brain and spine, 1 CT scan, and 2 nerve conductions, and about 1,000 blood tests, which equals to a shitload of money. And in that, there was about 3 ambulance rides and 4 admissions to hospital in that time. So you can imagine it's been shitty. And with seeing all those different people and getting all these different tests, and the thing is with neurology as well, especially autoimmune diseases, which is what they think I have, is that all the symptoms mimic each other for each different disorder. There's only slight differences. There's no one test that can say you've got this. They have to say you've got this disease by a process of elimination. So technically, if someone's being diagnosed with epilepsy, you can be diagnosed with that because it can be read on an EEG. But for that to be properly diagnosed, that person has to have an epileptic fit while they are in that particular test. And the likelihood of that is, it's not good. So I was diagnosed with all different types of things because it goes on medical history, genetics, age, and process of elimination, probability, all that thing. So throughout that, they have mentioned that I might have multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, lupus, Graves' disease, Addison's disease, and early onset Parkinson's. And that was scary. All of those were scary. Each one of them is scary. It's still scary. And what I have been officially diagnosed is just the highest percentage that they could figure out. So it's not necessarily that's what I have. It's just that's what is the most probable thing that's happened to me. And they match the symptoms, and certain medications for those diseases seem to be able to get me up in the morning and keep me going throughout the day, or somewhat going. So my official diagnosis is that I have narcolepsy with cataplexy, chronic fatigue syndrome, essential tremor in my right leg and left hand, depression and anxiety, and I'm lucky enough to get pseudo non-epileptic seizures, which are seizures that are not brought on by epilepsy, but they are brought on by trauma or extreme stress. So when I have those seizures, which I was getting them to about 5 times a week, they were brought on by extreme stress from my own body. My own mind would cause myself to have a proper physical seizure, which is crazy, but it's a thing, and it happens to me. So with all those magical diagnoses that I have, the many diagnoses that I have, as I said in the start of the video, it just means I can't work, I can't drive, drink alcohol, eat certain things, or be left unsupervised for a long period of time. So I have to be watched, basically. So I'm a 24-year-old who is completely dependent. I mean, if I go to the movies, I'll most likely have to ask my parents if I can have $20 to go. Like that dependent. And with those diagnoses, how I feel throughout the day, I feel disorientated, nauseous. I get those random bouts of those pseudo non-epileptic seizures. And I'll get cataplectic attacks, which is something that goes along with narcolepsy. And the thing is, with narcolepsy, it is extremely stereotyped and uses like quite a comical disease, which is weird because it's a disease and it's a chronic neurological disorder. But in certain movies, it's like known where people that have narcolepsy, they just fall asleep wherever they are, which is not the case. Of course, like people with narcolepsy, they have excessive daytime sleepiness. So say they're sitting down or something, they can just doze off. Yeah, sure, but anyone can really do that, can't they? It's the cataplexy that makes them do this sudden fall to the ground thing, which is like they're asleep, but they're not. A cataplectic attack is where your brain hasn't registered that you're actually awake. It thinks you're dreaming. So say I laugh at something really funny, hysterical. I cry, hysterical. Any type of emotion that is heightened, my brain will go, oh, she's dreaming. What the hell is she doing walking around? Why is she talking? She should be in sleep paralysis. So my body will put me in sleep paralysis. I will collapse and I'll be paralyzed for a short period of time. And I'm completely aware that this has happened. So can you imagine being on the ground, sometimes with my eyes open, sometimes with my eyes shut, which is the worst, being able to hear and see everything around you and not being able to communicate? I mean, I've had to communicate basically by like eye movements, literally. Somehow my partner understands what I'm saying, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm stuck. You're trapped in your body for this short period of time. And it's frightening and it makes me scared to go to sleep every night. It makes me scared to nap. It makes me scared to go out in public places. It literally just makes me terrified, which is not a way to live. And I guess that's where the depression and anxiety diagnosis comes in, I guess. But with all those things that I feel in the day, the number one thing I feel is tired. And I know you're probably thinking everyone feels tired sometimes throughout the day, but this tiredness is something like you'll never know. It's that tiredness you say, like when you have the flu and like everything in your body aches and anything, you stub your toe and it's like you've cut your toe off. You know, you're sad. It's like you're dying. It's the worst thing that could happen to you. It's that type of sadness. So, I mean, sadness, tiredness. Sorry. So it's like I'll go to sleep at night and be put on charge, but my charger doesn't work and it just like gets a quarter charge rather than a full charge. And then that's what I live on and that's what I run on. I'm constantly sleep deprived. So you can imagine that does get a girl down. It does make you depressed. And I hate that word depressed because I feel like it's used way too much. Someone says they're sad, they're depressed. They need a new word for someone that has depression. I swear, to just make it that more serious and make people that more aware that it is an illness And it's a serious illness that people die from, and yet they're not dying because they have cancer, they're dying because they commit suicide and stuff like that. But to think that they're dying because they feel like their life is not worth living anymore, it just makes it that more sad. And with that, I've only a few people know, but about 2 months ago, I was having those seizures 5 times a week. I'd seen all my doctors that I've seen, and they weren't really telling me anything that I wanted to hear and needed to hear at the time. They were basically changing up my medications again, using me as a guinea pig. Again, saying that they don't really have an answer for me. Again. And when you have to stay home all day and you don't have work, or you don't have that release to kind of put anything to put your energy in, you think and you dwell. And especially at night I do, because it's where I really get to, I guess, be alone in my own head. And I decided that there was no light at the end of the tunnel anymore for me. I could not see my future. And I wasn't thinking about my family. I honestly thought my partner would be better off, that he could have someone where they could go out and do the things that he wanted. They wouldn't hold him back, and they wouldn't make him make excuses for them for certain things like I do. So I took a whole bunch of sleeping pills and overdosed that night. I say lucky enough, even though I have had times recently, I mean like last night even, where I'll get angry because they found me and they called an ambulance, because I think, why the hell didn't they just let me go? Which is awful, but it's true. And I know I'm lucky that I was found and they called an ambulance and rushed me into hospital, and I lived. I know I'm lucky, because I know there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is. I don't know that one day I will be able to do things I want to do. And even though it sucks right now, because everyone says in the future, by that time you'll be better. By that time you'll be better. I mean, it's been 10 years and I'm not fucking better. So you think, what makes you think in another 2 years I'm going to be better? But I want to be. I want to be better. And I think in that moment I didn't want to be better. I didn't want to live. I want to live. I do. But there are those moments where no one can really talk you down. And you need to watch out for those triggers, those moments. In those moments, find someone to talk to. Now, when I get to that point, I will go and I'll talk to my partner and I'll say, I'm feeling like this. And it's really hard because you're seeing him upset because he wants you to be so much better. And he wants you to live. And he doesn't understand. But all I want out of life is to be able to go to work, drive, come back, be in a house with my partner and my dog. That's all I want. I mean, I had a dream the other night that I got a casual job at Safeway, and it was like the best dream I've had in I don't know how long, because that was part of the future that I want, and it will get better. It will, but it's hard, and I need more people to understand. I need people that know me, that don't really understand, to understand that if I'm out somewhere and I want to leave early, that I just feel sick and it's okay. And you don't need to try and like make me stay, because it just makes me feel that much more awful. You don't need to ask me why I'm not drinking. It's not important. Or it's not important. If I can't go somewhere, I'm really, it's not anything against you. I'm not up to it at that point in time. And I just want to be treated normally, and I don't want to make jokes about it anymore, because I'm guilty of that. I make jokes about it all the time. When I say I have to leave somewhere, I'd be like, oh, I have to go take my crazy pills because I'm crazy. And I make a joke about that. And while I'm not drinking, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm not drinking because I'm a raging secret alcoholic. Which, that's just insulting to people that actually have that addiction. But I don't want to joke about it anymore. I want people to know, and I want people out there that have this to know that it's okay to feel shitty. It is. Feel shitty. Don't feel guilty for feeling shitty, but just make sure that you talk to people. And if they don't understand, try to explain it. I know it sucks, but try to explain it. And for the people that are around you that want to understand, they are the people that you need to cling on to. Because over the past 2 years, I've had friendships go, and I mean, people say, they're friends, you're obviously better off without, but I mean, if I could have those friendships back the way they used to be right now, I would. And I know people have their own stuff going on, and people have their own lives to live, but just to take that time to make the effort to see if you're okay. It means more than you could possibly understand. I want to move forward. And I'm going to move forward